Good morning. A 20-year-old young man once was trying to convince me to go see a certain particular movie. And it was an action movie, and I had heard the reviews, and I heard it was pretty dumb. And so I was like, why should I go see this movie? And he said, because it's awesome. And not wanting to instruct the young man and expand his vocabulary, I was like, so why is it awesome? And he said, at one point, they blow up a mountain. And he thought this was like a great selling point. And I said, no, that seems like, well, maybe impressive graphically, that's not a good selling point for me in watching a movie. But I've had good friends that are big movie buffs over the years, and I learned a lot of critical thinking by watching movies with intelligent people. And one time I remember watching a movie with a friend, and afterwards he said, oh, what did you think? And I knew right away, oh, this is a test. Oh, geez. And I said, I liked the ending, but I was surprised by this. I said, what did you think? And my friend said, oh, well, the way they used the color red throughout the film really symbolized, impending foreshadowing death and this and that. And when this happened and that happened, the protagonist's soul was at stake, and that was symbolized by this and that. And he was expounding upon all these things that were there in the film, but I just didn't have those eyes to see it. So I said, all right, even though this feels kind of obnoxious, I want to join this world. And I started watching movies with friends, and actually it was teaching me critical thinking. And critical thinking skills are essential. If you think about it, if you don't know critical thinking, if you don't lean towards critical thinking, then you're just a sheep doing whatever you're being told to do by the powers that be. And that's not a good thing, because as we've learned, everyone who gets power gets corrupted. Whenever someone gains power, eventually they get corrupted. And so the structure of society means certain people have power, and we need critical thinking to make sure they're using it justly. And so critical thinking, in some ways, is the ability to see everything going on and pause and stand up and say, no, this isn't right. This isn't just. What things are happening right now, this ain't right, and we need to change things. That all comes from critical thinking. So critical thinking is giving us that ability to kind of step back, look at the world, and have eyes that is able to say, this ain't right, or this could be done better, or this could be done differently. Now, if you've ever hung out with obnoxious academics who sit around engaging in critical thinking all day, sometimes they can take it a little too far. For example, maybe sitting down to an amazing feast of food, and you're so excited about what you're about to eat. And they're like, hang on, the tines on these forks are weirdly shaped, and I don't like this fork, look at this. And they start expounding upon the problems with the fork. And sometimes you just want to say, just be quiet. I'm about to eat really good food. Just stop. And I remember a couple weeks ago was 4th of July, and there were all the fireworks going off. And a part of my brain was like, these fireworks, it symbolizes America's militarism and our being steeped in violence and our need to just go and be an empire and conquer and win wars. And we're just reenacting just violence and war. And now we're doing it. And I thought all that, and then I said, you know what? All of that is true, and these fireworks are going off whether I think that or not. So maybe I could just sit back in this instance and enjoy the beauty of the fireworks. So there's that tension of wanting to engage in critical thinking, but also wanting to enjoy the good and the beautiful that is abundant in our lives. And so I think one place where those two intersect beautifully is in poetry. If you read good poetry, it's someone analyzing, looking at the world, and criticizing it or with that critical mindset, but yet is showing us the world in a beautiful way. The way they order the words in a good poem is kind of giving us a new perspective on what might be the everyday and the mundane, and is kind of changing our eyes and changing the way we engage with the world. And I heard a professor once say that good art is prophetic. And if you think of prophetic as being showing you your world, but giving you a new imagination so that you can conceive of the world in a bigger and different way, then good art is that intersection of critical thinking and beauty. And it's criticizing the way the world is now, and it's giving us a beautiful vision of the way the world could be. And this could be in poetry, that was what hit me, but it could be in paintings, it could be in any kind of art, good music, the ballet, the opera, a good movie. These things can be this great intersection of criticizing the way the world is and also pointing us towards beauty. And in today's gospel, Jesus tells a parable, and I think telling parables, telling good stories, is a way where a teacher connects with the students, but also instructs. And so it's weird sometimes if Jesus uses these parables, you kind of want to say, Jesus, you're giving us instruction, just lay it out. In the Old Testament, we got the big 10, do not lie, do not cheat, do not steal. Just tell us what to do. And yet Jesus gives us these stories, kind of like this good art and these parables. And in today's gospel, we get the rare instance where Jesus also explains and interprets the parable he tells. So it's the parable of the sower, and there's 4 different kinds of soil where the seed is sown. And so the first is on a path where it doesn't penetrate the ground, and the birds can just come and take the seeds away, and they don't even have time to take root. And then the second is when the seed falls amongst rocks, and so it doesn't have deep roots, it doesn't have space, and it kind of comes up and then falls over. And then the third is seed thrown in good soil, but it's choked away by the weeds and the thorns. The cares of life come and choke it away. And then the fourth is thrown into the good soil that grows and has a yield. And I think all of us at different times are different soils. I think at different times in life, you're like the hard path, and you allow the cares and just whatever to just sweep you away. And it's like, well, I want to be focused on faithfully following Jesus, but I just have so much going on or whatever, and I'm just not ready. And this week I'm allowing the cares of life, the birds of the air, to just come and sweep it away. And then other times you're amongst the rocks where you get motivated, but then you don't have the depth there to really follow through. Maybe you've done this with a hobby. I, a year or two ago, really wanted to buy a pasta maker because I felt like I would be great at making homemade pasta, and the pasta maker thing was like $125, and thankfully I didn't buy it because I think I would have done it like twice. And then I'm like, all right, I'm not going to make pasta anymore, and moved on to another fad, right? This is what we get all motivated, but then it kind of, fades away. And then the third one is where we really, really, really want to change our lives. We want to faithfully follow Jesus, but then there's external things that just knock us off our game. And I think for us, lately, it's been this COVID pandemic. I think COVID has kind of put all of us at different times on all these different soils, right? COVID just took away everything, shut everything down, and I think we're still recovering. And so what will it take for us to recognize times, months, weeks, years where we've been in these different soils, and how do we plant ourselves in the good soil? I think sometimes when you get in these ruts, you just got to try different things, right? And so to be planted in good soil, you got to try saying your prayers every morning. And if you do say your prayers every morning, but maybe sometimes that gets stale and it's not working, maybe also add in a poem. Or maybe add in reading a chapter from the Gospels. Just start in Matthew 1, read a chapter every day. And that'll be about 4 months worth of reading, right? Just start and do that. Or if you're like me, I really like to journal. So I know I'm doing well when I get up in the morning, get out my pen and paper and just start writing. And I'll write about what's on my mind, and it always ends up being prayers. So if you're someone who's never journaled before, but you're having a bad day, so if you recognize you're in one of the other soils and you want to be planted in the good soil, maybe that next morning, get out a journal and just write the date and the time, and then write, I'm really frustrated and I feel stuck. And then see what comes out of your brain from there. And sometimes I'll be writing that, and then I'll start writing like, please God help me to get unstuck. And then I'll write something like, God, thank you for all the times you've already helped me get unstuck. And all of a sudden, it starts flowing. Or maybe you need to try something different, what we call centering prayer, which is kind of silent prayer. Set a timer for 5 minutes and just focus on your breathing. And how do I become a place that's like the good soil for the seed to grow in abundance? And so just keep trying different things, because we're all getting stuck at different times. We're all getting in ruts, and that's normal. That's part of life. And COVID completely disrupted everything, and I think we're still living in the wake of that and trying to emotionally recover from all that did to us. And at the same time, we have each other to encourage each other. And using this metaphor of the seed and the soil, the water, and the air, and the sunshine is the love of God. So no matter where we go and what soil we find ourselves in, we know the water's coming and the sun will come up, and the love of God will always be there, hoping for us to grow as great as we can, hoping for us to thrive, and constantly there, whether we like it or not, whether we accept it or not, that love of God is raining down on us. And when we do what we can, it'll make us grow more and more and more and more. Amen.